bedtime story, son, is prophetic. Encrypt the signals from the shadows of the garden. We dig where the dirt got secrets, no parting. Microphone alchemist, scriptures with a twist. Peep the frequency, seeds in the mist. We drop bars like plagues, revelations in the cadence. Broadcasting truth while they trapped in surveillance. Wisdom with a watchman's blade. Fourth watch style while your whole system fade. Blood moons, Nephilim, echoes in the pine. Sasquatch stomping through the fault lines of time. We ain't mainstream, we ancient stream. Cipher with the prophets, decode the dream. So if you tuned in, better guard your mind. It's broadcasting seeds and we breaking the design. Yeah, straight from the broadcast studio, hidden in the static.
Hey everybody, and welcome to another episode of Broadcasting Seeds. I've got Philip Milburn here today. Philip, tell us who you are, what you do, and where we can find you.
Who I am. I'm someone that spent the last 5 years researching various types of obscure and little-known medical advances, chiefly this, which we'll be unpacking. Doesn't look impressive, but hold that thought. And I want to put at the top of this, I'm not identifying myself as a doctor or seeking to pull people away from what an actual medical professional would tell you. Don't take my word over theirs. But this is to give you something to think on, not to replace actual medical advice. So you've got to put that at the very top.
Absolutely.
Now, forgive me, what was the second part of your question? Who I am?
Who you are, what you do, and then where people can find you.
Okay, what I do is upload a lot of footage, videos that explore little-known medical technologies such as organometer, the Royal Raymond Rife beam, the M600, the spectrochrome. Don't know if you recognize any of those names.
Yeah, the Rife machine for sure.
Yeah, among many others. I won't go for a complete list, but we dedicate ourselves to researching and in any way highlighting the potential of this, plus whatever else I can piece together. Now, sadly, I won't be making M600 because one component will detonate my entire budget, so that's out. But I do have a video that's about 1 month old exploring its history and its influence. And where you can find me is at Anomaly Research Labs on YouTube. And on the advice of Trebles Garcia, who introduced us to each other, I will be coming up with some other social media accounts in order to gain a better standing. Rumble, Instagram. They're not up yet. Might be at the time of this being seen.
Right. Okay. What was that again? Anomaly
Research Labs.
Gotcha. Okay. Now, basically, what got you into this whole world of doing this?
Well, I'd like to break that up into two pieces. What got me into it and what made me stay, because what made me stay isn't far more profound.
Gotcha.
What got me into it was I lay on my bed, bored out of my mind in summer of 2022 for obvious reasons. And ironically, I was replaying some pretty ugly stuff in my head from somebody I used to know. And before we begun to fully hate each other, this person showed me some conspiracy theory videos on stuff they don't want you to know. That's kind of the oldest known conspiracy theory channel. Have you heard anything of it? Sorry, I didn't hear that.
Sorry, I had my mic muted. Sorry, my dog was barking.
Okay.
Yeah, I have heard of it.
Yeah, one of the oldest conspiracy theory figure on YouTube. Sadly, they're not much active anymore, and we're very much ahead of their time. Sort of the grandfather of the Y-Files today. And
which is a great show.
Yeah, while I was flicking through these by the dozen and developing a little bit of interest, I came across one called Orgone Energy, which I misread as Oregon Energy at first, thought it was something to do with a geotherm plant. And in short, this is a very simplified history. It talked about the works of Wilhelm Reich, who very carefully examined human psyche, government, and electromagnetism, and began arguing there was a sort of overlapping zone between them in which you could, from that, work out a lot of human well-being in more ways than one. You'd have to take a careful read of his stuff because it's quite complicated. But in the later mid to late stages of his career, he began to invent the Orgone Accumulator. That being this device, which is 3 layers. Well, his original was 3 layers. This is 3 and 4. So in this case, 3 layers of cotton and 4 layers of cotton and 3 layers of metal inside of this. In nature, they are diamagnetic and ferromagnetic, respectively, with the effect being that when put back to back like this, they begin concentrating an unseen energy of electromagnetism that, how do you phrase this? Are you familiar with how pain works in the human body on a more complex, like, physiological scale?
Yeah.
I'll just say this for those that aren't. What you get is you get a signal in whatever part hurts. So if I claw myself, I can feel that. You get a signal that travels up to your brain, and then another one travels back down in a very quick amount of time, saying what type of pain to issue, at what intensity, in the correct area. Now, the pain relief signal is the same. So if you take this and you get this channel of electromagnetic energy, it has such a close resemblance to the pain relief response that the human brain issues, your body can't tell the difference. It's a bit like if I sat you in front of 5 colours and I said they are scarlet, ruby, crimson, red, and brick. You wouldn't be able to give me exactly which was which unless you're a career painter or some such thing.
Right.
So it's kind of like spoofing, and what you end up with is it will psych you into not feeling, not all, it doesn't fix everything. And again, this is just anecdotal at current, but I'm told of multiple people it fixes a wide range of pains and makes them feel as if they aren't there or they almost aren't there.
So it just lessens. I mean, it could take it all away, but it mainly lessens pain.
Takes it away to a larger degree. It can vary from person to person and different types of pain. But I was told off of, going all the way back, the first time I used this on myself, I felt something, and I think I felt slightly more emotionally stable, for want of a better word, and I told myself, no, let's be stingy here. I'm going to class that one as a placebo effect, because I didn't want to celebrate too early. Then I went to a then friend of mine who had post-vasectomy pain syndrome. Are you familiar with that?
I am. I am.
Yeah. Well, I gave it to him and I said, look, I'm not expecting much of it, but just humour me. So he does. And after a few minutes, I say, well, anything? Yeah, can't feel a thing. And I said, are you coming up with some sick joke here? And he said he wasn't. And I didn't buy it at first, but the thing that won me over was the fact that he's an inept actor. And if he wanted to fake being happy, he couldn't. So that told me it was real. And that was quite exciting. So then I took it throughout town to anyone I could find. I gave it to a florist that had pain in both of her feet. In one foot, it took the pain away almost entirely. In the other one, it took away an amount, not so much, but it was worth having. I gave it to the man running the record store just up the road for arthritic pain, which has since become one of our most frequent targets because it's just so ubiquitous, behind one other, which I'm going to get to. And he said the pain faded significantly. Now, to be fair, it didn't fix everything. There were some people who said it did nothing, and I don't know exactly what it does and doesn't heal at this point. But it was hugely uplifting to me in a time when I was going through quite a bit, dare I say. I'm not going to give you that full story, but it gave me something to believe in.
Yeah. So, Wilhelm, that you got it from, where did you find, like, the plans or the how did you come up with the what you've got right there?
Subject to some research, I found out that the Orgone Accumulator that was made in 1940 was a full box you could get into.
Okay.
Kind of like a parcel. You could sit in it, but you couldn't stand up in it. And people would get inside these things, which had 3 layers of ferromagnetic and diamagnetic material, which were made. They were made in their day to stop the big C and to also stop emotional blockages, so that you would feel more emotionally open and stable, and maybe even sexually liberated. Now, speaking on that, I can say it did something to fix my emotional coldness to a degree. if I put it on my heart, it will make me feel a bit less traumatized and numb. So
Yeah.
I think it has some purpose there. I've also had people say that just resting it on your head is good for relaxation, not physical pain relief in their case, just feeling better.
Okay. Now, aren't there the opposite of this too? Is it a Orgone generator? Do you
Orgone
know?
generator. There are organ. If you're describing this now, I need to make a disclaimer. This
That's
doesn't
what
work.
that's what
Right.
I'm talking about right there. Yeah.
So this one doesn't work. It was given to me by a then friend, and it's just decorative. This one is store bought. He didn't know what to look
Right.
for. I've got a real one. If you'd like me to fetch it.
Well, that's not really necessary. I was just wondering if it's like what. So what did? And I can't remember. I had looked into building one a while back. Just with resin and a bunch of different things. But what did they do versus what your accumulator does?
I'm sorry, you're cutting out quite badly there.
Okay. So, is it better now?
No, it's still frozen. I'm seeing you with your hand positioned like this.
Okay.
Okay, your audio's coming through all right. Yeah, okay, I think we're good. Could you
Okay.
repeat that last
There we go.
part,
Yeah,
please?
everything's stabilized. It looks like. So the what is that called? Or it's not the accumulator. The other thing. What are they called?
The orgonomic generator, or pyramid, as it's sometimes referred to.
Yeah. So what do they do? What is that supposed to do versus what the accumulator does?
Well, the accumulator is more of a pinpoint thing, so you
Like
put
a
it on somewhere
direct
that,
weapon.
yeah,
Or, I
put
was
it
gonna
on
say
somewhere that
weapon, but
hurts for a concentrated effect. Like if you need
gotcha.
something more acute, versus the generator is kind of more passive and fundamentally weaker because it's spread further. As is,
Yeah.
anything weakens when you give it multiple tasks.
Okay. I was just wondering because I've heard of those and I've seen them and I've done a little bit of studying on them, but
Yeah. Do you mind if I go grab the real one just to give people an idea
yeah,
of
go
what to
ahead.
look for?
Sure.
All right, I'll make this quick.
No worries. Don't rush too bad.
If I'd known this would come up, I would have brought it in earlier. And
Yeah,
here's the
sorry.
difference. Now, the size isn't that indicative, but what needs to be observed here is that this one visibly has copper inside of it, which is an important factor. This one doesn't. This one also has this finish underneath that shows it's refined. It's clearly factory made. This one,
Yeah.
on the other hand, the fact that it's crude and visibly made by me, who doesn't have a factory, actually means it's more effective, if less pretty. I still think it's
Gotcha.
good to look at.
Now, is there a certain type of metal that you should use? You have copper there, but in the accumulator as well. Does it matter what type of metal you use, or are some more effective?
We've got a how-to guide on creating these on my channel, which will talk you through this. But
Okay.
what you'd aim for is you get 000 non-aluminium steel wool combined with pure cotton or pure wool, not anything partly polyester. It'd have to be a pure composite. Then
Okay.
it's just stitched together, and we've got a Tesco's potato tin on the inside of that thing. Now, in America, I imagine you don't have those, but if you can find something that's not a composite of aluminium or aluminum, if you prefer, then that would do the job just fine.
Okay. Awesome. So go ahead, keep going. I just
All right.
have those slight questions.
So one thing I covered while researching this, as I gave it to a female friend of mine, well, two actually, and said, "Are you willing to stress test this? Tell me if it eases period cramps for me." So they both said yes and took off with it. The first one came back to me, said it took an 8 out of 10 severity to about 1 out of 10. And I was overjoyed at that. I couldn't, it's rare that I get that happy. I think it was one of the highlights of the year, and I don't just mean because that year was abysmal for reasons besides. But I was very happy about it. So my other friend came back to me, who had a copper IUD inside of her. You know what those are?
Yes.
For our audience that doesn't, it's a sort of hormonal IUD made to either prevent pregnancy or pain or some of the symptoms of the period cycle. But for our purposes, what we end up with is copper retains energy, including and especially electromagnetic. So it got a sort of overdosed and stayed too much. It wasn't free flowing. And what we wound up with was the pain backfired in her case and got worse. Now, I bought her a drink to say sorry for that. We are still friends, and I kicked myself. But we've not had that problem again, so we do learn from our mistakes. And I've wanted for a long time for people to research this so that all women, almost all women, I hesitate to say all, but almost all women, and a lot of men who get injured and hurt for reasons besides, can benefit from it. In fact, I'd be shocked if you either were not or didn't know of someone that fell into one of these categories somewhere.
So how do you spell it, just so the audience can know?
It's not an official word in the dictionary, for the record, but it's Orgone, I do believe.
All right. Oregon. All right. So what is the thought behind why this works?
That is a very good question. It may take a while to put that to you. In Reich's thinking, just bear with me, this is extremely complex. I can do it,
Sure.
though. Originally, it started with a critique of psychoanalysis, if you can believe it, where Sigmund Freud left a sort of vaguely defined answer as to what the origin of the sex drive was. Is it physical or is it mental? And no matter how carefully you read psychoanalysis, you tend to walk away with the response of something like that. There's not much you can take from it. So Reich looked at it more closely and he said, okay, the origins are part physical, part mental, and they go here, here, and here. And he put this to Sigmund and Anna Freud, who criticized him very harshly, threw him out of a reception, and then outed him to the Gestapo. He fled to Norway and barely escaped the gas chambers. And ironically, he had a falling out in Norway, fled to the US, and barely escaped the gas chambers twice. But with regards to how this amounted to the electromagnetic thing, honestly, I myself have wondered for years. I understand his point about the flaw of psychoanalysis and how he corrected it, but how he then took that and decided that electromagnetic devices could be interlaid with it, that's really difficult to explain. But here we are. I have experimented with it in my own time. So, what was your question originally? You were asking how he knew about this?
Yeah, just how does he know? What's the mechanism behind it? Theoretically, at least.
Theoretically, the mechanism is what I described earlier. You can see it under a Carolean camera, for example, and you can see its effect during cryogenic experiments that I've done myself. We froze a bottle of water that was, excuse me a minute. We froze a bottle of water that was contained inside of the two. And when we took it back out, what we ended up with was a bottle that had a very clear, pretty form of ice to it and was much smoother. Then we did the same thing, same freezer, same amount in the same bottle, well, the same type of bottle. And it came out kind of more jagged and crude. There was a visible difference.
A little more chaotic.
You could see it with your eyes. And as for the experiments done by, what did I mention before? Carolean photography. Under Carolean photography, you would see a haze come out, more likely of this one. But you'd see a haze come out, and I've got a friend in the US who's volunteered to help me once they've got some duties done, so they're looking to get involved by December. And what you'd get is this sort of purple, reddish, or even ultraviolet glow coming out. That was
Okay.
explored by George Ritchell, who was using similar devices in the 2000s in Africa. The one other thing I'll say is, as for the method of operation, that was explored most in depth and scientifically by Heiko Larsick in the 1980s. And if you were to research his study on orgone therapy, he would be the best person to go to in terms of having worked in a lab environment.
Yeah. Okay. Because I'm looking like Reich, man, they came after him hard. Uh, about this, like the FDA, actually, is what I'm reading.
Well, the
Um,
FDA are the lapdogs of the AMA, so
of course,
I'm
of course.
saying anything done by the FDA is the AMA's fault, but not everything done by the AMA is the FDA's fault.
Hmm.
Not that I would really put it past them; they're about as bad as each other to my eyes.
So, do you make these now to sell or not?
I don't sell because I don't find that ethical, and we're going to go into why in a moment's time. It's
Okay,
pretty intense, actually. I do make
gotcha.
them and I give them away for nothing. Now, full disclosure, I do accept people's support on Patreon to enable me to do this, but separate to that statement, never have I and never will I deny someone access to the information about one of these things on the basis of financial inability, all right? That's not what I stand for. And I've given it to people that couldn't pay. I've given it to people that couldn't return anything other than a thank you, and I would do it again. And as for the notion of selling, this part's pretty nasty. Okay, so I apologize in advance. This is not going to be easy for me. Back in 2022, during our very early stages, we were getting some traction piece by piece off of the internet. Talking. We didn't have any videos out back then, but I was talking to people and swapping ideas, smaller scale than what we're doing right now, but a little bit informally at least. And I was contacted by someone who explained to me that they were suicidal with back pain due to nerve damage in the just under the neck. And honestly, I was quite concerned at that point, so I began trying to offer them some reassurance, on the emotional and analytical level. I tried to just calm them down, and they were spiraling to a large degree. It was a. I'm not maligning that person. Okay, they had stuff to go through. I'm not blaming them for the fact that they were in the state that they were. That's many other people's fault, not theirs. But it was proving difficult to talk them down. And then I began talking about this. So they said to me, I'd like to try one. What do I do? So I said to them, look, here's some instructions. I gave them a different person's video, Mirko Kulig, he discovered this before I did, him and his friends, but he's not as he's I don't wish to malign the man. He's not as dedicated as I am, just judging by the channel. He's a good content creator. And I said to her, look, follow these instructions, excluding this. Now, we don't have to do that anymore because we have my video to go off of. And she did. So over the next few days, I think for about 1 week, I would talk to her and try and act as her unofficial counselor as well as a guidebook for this thing. And I don't wish to get into graphic detail here, but I think you could sense it in some of the things that she stated. There was this really horrid undercurrent of where else am I going to run to if this person isn't there, and what are they? There was something of a. They might have expected some sort of exploitation. Now there wasn't any, but I think both of us were painfully aware that there could have been. We didn't talk about it because we didn't want to, but that undercurrent was there, and I dread to think what would have happened if this had been on somebody who was much more cynical than I am. And then a while later, she told me that the pain had gone almost entirely, from about 7 out of 10 to 1. And she'd taken up riding a bike for enjoyment. She was socializing a lot more with other people. And it did something for the social isolation that she was experiencing. It was, for reasons besides the pain, the obvious stuff, it was a really strenuous time in her life. And I'm not trying to divulge too much there, but fortunately they've recovered, and gotten over it, and they now have a girlfriend. So I'm really happy that they've been able to do a huge 180 on that. And I dread to think, because they told me they were thinking about it on the day they heard about it. They were seriously considering, yeah. So that was the scariest experience in my life. And I've been through plenty of things, all right? So that's not coming from somebody who's inexperienced. Okay, that was that. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I have folks that I'm a veteran, and with that, I was a peer support specialist for years, helping veterans through stuff. So I absolutely understand. I understand being in that situation. So,
yeah, may I ask, what country did you serve in?
The U.S. Both. I was in the Marine Corps and the Army. I did time in both. So,
did you go abroad in a war?
Yeah, a couple times.
Right, that's impressive. Well, yeah, that's thanks for that, because it's we've helped each other. That same person helped get my spirits up following some really nasty ostracizing and backstabbing the next year. Oof, and also, I was in such a state back then. They may have just gone and returned the favor entirely, because I was feeling so low myself. I had this one tape playing in my head. She needs you. You're not going anywhere. And I think that was probably the only thing stood between me and you get the idea.
Yeah, agreed. Especially at that time, we're coming out of the COVID and stuff was nasty, people were, it just wasn't a good time for anybody, I don't think, but
a few hedge funds
I sympathize. So,
yeah, well, that was the most memorable experience. I'm so glad it had a happy ending.
Absolutely.
Have you any more questions?
Yeah, so I really am the reason I'm interested, you got my interest peaked because of it's the possibility of this helping people that I know, right? So it's one of those things that with like your video, we could make it on our own. We wouldn't need to go out and buy it or anything like that.
Yeah, absolutely. And okay. I've always said of it, if you're handy enough and you're rich enough to make a loaf of bread, it's within your reach. It's as simple as that.
Perfect. Wow. That's amazing. So I appreciate that.
Yeah, well, I'd be excited to hear if it's helped anyone in your life. I'm not going to ask for every detail. I'd just like to know it had done some good. I'm not looking to invade anyone's privacy.
No.
But if a little feedback would come along to say it's led to improvement in quality of life, that would be greatly appreciated.
Absolutely. Yeah. We'll, if we're able to do anything with this, then we will, I will let you know. Absolutely. You'll be the first to know, actually.
Thank you.
So, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I think Treble's over at he's now called The Trebles Show, just changed from
Trebles,
recently.
yeah.
He said
he's a good, I actually was on his podcast last night, but we talk probably daily. So,
great.
Yeah,
well, he's told me that he's going to be this weekend getting the components together. I won't say for what, because I don't want to be an oversharer, but it's just nice to know that those gears are turning.
I'm pretty sure I know for what, but...
Yeah, I've got one person in Canada interested as well.
Okay. Yeah, definitely. This is something I think that if it... it's one of those things, though, where sometimes things just work for people and sometimes they don't work for others. And who knows, because everybody's different, right? I mean, mechanically, biologically, we're basically the same. But sometimes people's energies just don't take to things like this the same. I'm not sure why that is. I am a Reiki practitioner as well, or I could say that I used to be. So this type of stuff really interests me. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I mean, I think it does have some overlaps with Reiki, and in reference to what it does and doesn't help, I've yet to put this in paper to get a very clear picture. But off the top of my head, it does seem less effective against muscular and tendon damage, whereas nerve damage, it's quite good with, and bone damage, it's also quite good at aiding with.
Yeah. So more. I wonder why it wouldn't be as effective with soft tissue. I can't think of why that would be, but yeah.
I'm going to have that in writing at some point. There's going to come a day when I can put that in clear terms. I mean, I have
Okay.
wanted to dedicate myself to this more, but in the span of 5 years, I've had so much thrown at me. I don't wish to sound like some whiny crybaby, but yeah, I've had to turn my gaze elsewhere more than once.
Understand. So is this all that you dig into, or do you dig into some other stuff too, like maybe some of the other and what made you, I mean, I know you talked about it earlier, but what really sparked this? Who was it to help? Was it to help somebody other than yourself, or was it just you?
Well,
Or
it
is it just
was.
piqued your interest?
Well, essentially, it told me it might be a great medical event, so I didn't need much more than that. I just wanted to see if I could do anything with it. And originally, it was just, okay, let's see who we can help with this. But you see this picture, arguing with
Yep.
the camera here, here,
Yeah.
painted by father, this one of Venice. Well, he died sadly in 2017 from stomach cancer.
Sorry to hear
And
that.
do I think that he'd still be here if I'd known about this? Maybe. I'm not so sure.
Yeah.
But if I'd known all of the things that I know now about various other things, some of which I'm not going to mention because you may be hit with censorship, yes, I think he'd
Yep.
almost certainly be here if I'd known that full rundown. And, you know, I think some of it is for him. A lot of it is for that girl I mentioned earlier who now, you know, is doing bike riding. It's to anyone, but the two people closest will be father and that girl who is like a sister to me.
Okay. Amazing. Man, I'm really intrigued here.
Yeah, that's what I meant earlier. I got into it to see just is it useful on any level. I stayed because of them two.
Gotcha. Yeah, yes, that makes sense. So what else, anything else to cover about it that you'd like to say?
Quite possibly. Forgive me, it's so sprawling. I find it hard to track the last nearly 5.5 years with this. But some of the don'ts of using it, right? If you have a copper IUD and you want to use it for period pain or something just similar to that area, don't, because no one wants to be around copper. If you've been exposed to nuclear radiation, as in you're a survivor of Chernobyl or Fukushima, I wouldn't recommend it, because this thing does not react well with nuclear energy. If you've had the thing receive an X-ray or you've received it yourself in the last few days, don't use it. Get that completely out of your system and then go. Don't send it through the mail, because it will receive an X-ray and it will become tainted. I found that one out the hard way also. I'm very angry with myself how that was handled. Fortunately, that person made a recovery.
Good.
So there are ways for it to go wrong. I'm not claiming it will fix everything under the sun. I'm not claiming to be a doctor, all right? I'll say that once more. Don't take any of this over actual medical advice.
Sorry, I'm writing. Yeah, we'll also put that in the show notes as a disclaimer.
Besides that, I'm not so sure. Just I try and speak pure from the heart here. Off the back of what I said earlier, it would mean more to me than I could ever have words for if people would start using this, talking about it, get the ball rolling, things to that effect. As I would like to believe that when we hit the year 2050, the term period cramps will be kind of a relic or unheard of. It'd be like the VHS tape, because anybody could just slap one of these on and say, right, that's it, no effect. Well, no feeling, sorry. There's no effect of the pain, not the thing. Or for other things, you know, injuries. I recall a man who broke his foot. I used it on him. And he was really excited and posed for a picture with me. And I had to say to him, I'm happy for you. Treat that thing like it's still broken. Don't sprint or jump or dance, anything to that effect. The pain is gone. You still need to baby that thing. And I recall giving it to two girls with juvenile arthritis. They both said they felt better, and one of them posed for a picture with me. I could have read this wrong, but it felt a little bit flirtatious. So that's one thing to keep in mind for the lads.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Oh man, I had a question. It just went.
Take your time. I have
continued use. I mean, are we talking about now? Of course, we're not talking. We're not doctors. You're not a medical professional, but like continued use. Do you find that with people that is it like, let's say they have arthritis, right, somewhere, and is it a pain management tool at that point, or is it like it's not like a cure, but it would be more for pain management, right?
Yeah, it's like drinking some water. It doesn't fix everything. You're going to have to refresh, but you can just stick this thing on an arthritic finger or something. And I've been using these things for 5 years. No negative effects. Oh,
Gotcha.
wait, sorry. There's a little exception to that rule. If you pointed at your stomach, there is a chance, at least I'm going to stop doing that now. There's a case, and in my case, this is true. It can make you kind of drunk and unfiltered and have the effect of having had a few,
Gotcha.
So do not use one of these, especially on your stomach or your head, if you're driving, operating machinery, or you're talking to somebody other than the lads when you go down the pub.
Yeah, understand. Okay. So this show is called Broadcasting Seeds, and it's about planting seeds in people, in their minds at least. So what I'd like, it's the last question that I've got for you, is what kind of seed would you like to plant in the audience's mind?
The seed I'd like to plant is take a careful look at our studies, among others, of this thing, at us, Heiko Lasik. And if you are a skeptic and if you're on the more skeptical side of things and you've got this stance of, I'm not going to take this from someone who's not a medical professional, is a 26-year-old and, has just done research anecdotally. Now, those are all valid criticisms. But I say go beyond being an armchair critic, and provided you meet the criteria, you're not on the don't list for any of the reasons given. Create one, give it to someone who needs it, and come and kick my tires. I'm absolutely for people stress testing this. I'm not all flash and no bang or all mouth. And I fully admit it's not got a 100% success rate. But I would like for people to keep an open mind and make the effort with this thing. The cost to assemble, by the way, hangs around about £4 English.
Gotcha. Not bad.
And again, I don't make any money off this. Not necessarily. I'm not in this for the money, all right? Anyone that would profit or exploit off the misery of other people, to my eyes, deserves... I probably shouldn't elaborate on that. It might... I'm not going to elaborate on it. But, I'm not in this for money and not even fame. I don't mind it, but primarily I just want to see people get better and do some good here. So... yeah, forgive me, but that's the seed I would like to plant. Is
absolutely, it's a great one. Again, tell people where they can find you.
Anomaly Research Labs. Now, I hope to God this thing doesn't end up all blurry, but is that visible to you? Yeah, it's blurry, isn't it?
Well, I might be able to see it. I can't see it right now, but I might be able to on a regular.
Wonders of technology. No, sorry, I can't. I don't think that's worth it. So we'll just say you can find me at Anomaly Research Labs on YouTube. You could perhaps take a picture of something and stick it onto this podcast image if you like. But thank you so much for having me. I mean, it's painfully rare that I can get onto the stage with anyone. You are one of 3 that have actually sat down with me. Sorry, 4. One of them is in the works, but thank you so much.
Amazing. I appreciate you coming on.
I'm grateful to be here.
of the people.
Yo, check the signal. It's a war for your mental. Truth confidential, but I'm breaking that stencil. Step in the booth like a sage in fatigue. Dropping red pills deep, yeah, I'm broadcasting seeds. History, mystery, cryptids in the mist. Spiritual warfare, it's more than just a twist. Government lies, yeah, I'm pulling the thread. Exposed the cover up, bring the truth from the dead. Bigfoot footprints in the halls of the state. Sun at the gate while the heavens rotate. Prophets and portals, signs in the sky. You asking why? I'm showing you why. No fluff, no script, this the real narration. Bennett T dropping heat for the whole generation. Truth uncut, no edit, no plea. This is broadcasting seeds, come break bread with me. From the shadows to the light, yeah, the veil gets torn. Broadcasting seeds.